Better look at them. Why don't you guys give a big, warm Cinefamily round of applause to Cheech and Chong? My children. We were either so excited or so worried we'd be at half capacity. We figured it would take 3 of us to do this Q&A. First off, back together again, guys. How does it feel? I'm really excited to see you guys.
Very, financially great.
It feels like we never left except older.
You guys look so good though, after 25 years.
We came in 7th in a Cheech and Chong lookalike contest.
You know, one thing I love about that film is it really highlights the importance of music to Cheech and Chong's comedy. You know, both you guys are musicians beforehand. Like, can you talk a bit about that? I mean, you guys were performing for rock shows, you were doing songs mixed in.
Man, we're here to talk about a movie.
Movies, not music.
We're talking about a band.
You know, we're trying to promote ourselves.
Because real musicians don't talk. What he just say, man, is fucking music.
Well, I know the new movie that we're going to be watching later tonight features a lot of your classic sketches and
We got
songs.
new songs.
Oh, new songs.
New songs, whole new soundtrack.
We're still learning them.
Well, you know, I think by going through some of the highlights of your career, we'll be like building enthusiasm for the movie they're about to watch.
There we go.
And so, like, I know you guys met at a really unusual, you guys were doing improv sketch comedy at like a titty bar or something.
Yeah, it was.
Could you tell a little bit about how you guys met?
It was actually it was my idea. Well, actually, it wasn't my idea. It was the plot's idea. I smoked this really good bud, and I had this idea. There was a family-owned strip joint.
His family.
We had an after-hours club, and we had a strip joint. And I was in between jobs, and so I had nothing to do. So I had a choice of hanging out in the after-hours club or the strip joint. Well, the strip joint seemed more appealing, you know. And I started working the lights. I was the light man at my own strip joint. And I noticed the show was pretty fucking boring. The girls took off their clothes and yeah, that's it. And no one was really watching the girls take off their clothes. You know, they were talking to each other, you know, and every once in a while they'd glance. And the girls were beautiful. So I figured, while I was doing the lights, I wrote a little play, a skit for them to do. Because I noticed that the girls looked sexier when they came in off the street in their street clothes than they did with their boas and bullshit that they had, you know, as a stripper.
Well, when he was on tour with his band, with Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers, he had, in the travel scene, the Second City and the Committee and those kind of improv groups. So he kind of thought, oh, I can do this, yeah.
But how did you end? This is in Canada. How did you end up?
Well,
in
I started
Vancouver,
what I did. I realized that these girls look better, you know, as real people.
Yeah.
And so
he asked me how I got into it.
I formed that.
No, go ahead.
What's that?
He asked me how I got into it.
I'm getting there.
Oh, I know.
Do you want to get right to it, or?
That is pretty much, yeah. No, go ahead.
Cheech gets nervous when we're not talking about him.
Yeah. Well, it's boring. I mean.
Anyway, I wrote the script for the girls to do on stage, but to make it work, I needed a straight guy, someone that looked straight, because my other partner was a hippie with a long beard. The straight guy at first thought it was a straight gig, but he didn't know that it was working with topless girls.
His wife didn't know.
His wife didn't know. We were so successful that we made the papers. Yeah. And the front page was a picture of him with titties on either side of his head.
And what did
And
your
you
wife
were
think
like,
about
I'll take that
No,
job.
I didn't have a wife at that time.
So what happened, he had to quit the gig. And so I went looking for a straight guy. And this mutual friend, this guy that ran a hippie underground newspaper, said, hey, I got a guy that works for me that's really funny. He'd fit in really well. And so then I went, and he said, come on over Sunday to this farm in Richmond, BC, and I met Cheech.
Now,
Richard.
I heard you'd. I have two questions for you. I heard you'd never really performed before. You said that you were an improv comic, but you hadn't. So
I'd seen improvisational theater here in L.A. No, there was this early improv theater called Instant Theater, which was Rachel Rosenthal and King Moody, and it was like, wow, it's this weird thing I used to go to, and like it was really intriguing. It was like one of those things that you don't know if you're going to get out of the theater or not, and it was really. But when I saw it, I said, I can do this. I know how to do this.
And you were a class clown, is that right?
Yeah.
With straight A's, though.
Yeah, I was a teacher's worst nightmare. You know, I was a wise ass that got straight A's. You know, so.
So what did you think when you saw this act the first time? That was
When I first looked at Cheech, I thought, what the fuck is he?
My same thought. What the fuck?
I didn't know. I've never met a Mexican before.
Yeah.
So I had no. I met East Indians and
But you'd
Native
seen one in the
Indians.
movies.
Yeah. When I looked at him, and it was like Genghis Khan with a nylon tank top. You know? Really, I didn't know what the fuck he was, man.
And
kind of beard.
yeah, and so I looked at Cheech and then I told him I said about the club, and he said, oh, okay, I'll come down Saturday and check it out.
Yeah. So what was the first moment? This is sort of newlywed game style for each about the other. What was the first moment that you were like, that guy's really funny and I want to keep working with him? Like the first time you were really struck by the other's talent.
Well, when I went to see the show, and I was really distracted because my girlfriend, I hadn't seen in a long time, flew into Vancouver, and we were like, I met her at the airport, and we went from the airport to this club to see the show. And so I was kind of more into her than the show. And then the show was okay. I had topless dancers, and it was like, it was kind of skittish. And I was like, oh, this is weird, but I kind of dig it. And then I had this one scene where Tommy, they had a classical setup on the stage with two doors, so people could make entrances and exits. And this guy Dave, he would come out and sing this stupid ass song. I mean, just stupid. I dream of Brownie in the light blue jeans, and it goes on forever. And everybody in the audience is like drunk loggers and hockey players. And hey, what the fuck? I want to see naked girls. And he finishes this song, and everybody in the audience is like, huh? And the door flies open, and here comes Tommy, stripped to the waist, and his hair all. Like he just woke up, and he has a newspaper in his hand, and he looks at the guy for a long time. He goes, "What the fuck kind of song is that?" And beats the shit out of it, which is what everybody in the audience wanted to do. And I fell off my chair laughing. It was so fucking off the wall. I go, "Well, there's something here, man."
And Tommy, like, okay, you're looking for a straight man, and this is far from a straight man.
I wasn't at the time. I looked very straight.
Well, Cheech looked very straight.
But the
no
comedy
mustache. He looked like a Mooney.
Yeah.
But you must have just.
They thought I was a narc. He thought I was a narc. No, because they had been tried. The police in Vancouver had been trying to infiltrate this group because they knew they were smoking dope and getting away with all this shit.
Yeah.
And so they would send guys and, hey, I'm groovy, let me be in there.
Sergeant
Sergeant
Stadenko,
showed up.
that's a real guy.
The cops showed up one time. I was fixing the back room to make it a after hours club for the leftover theater crowd, and so I was washing the floors, getting ready to wash the floors myself, and these narcs showed up with the headbands and
Short hair with a headband.
and they said, hey, can we help you out here? And I said, hell yeah. So they could work real. So I knew they weren't hippies. I mean, they give that away right away. They're moving tables, washing the floors. Because they just got out of military academy, the police academy. And so I didn't know what to do. They're obviously narcs. And so I went into the bathroom and I did a little dance. I said, they're narcs. And so then I walked up, and he said, anything else we can do? I said, yeah, well, actually, we can. I worked their ass off, man.
Nice.
They were so tired at the end of the day, man. They're like, okay, we'll see. I'll say, okay, thanks a lot, man. You
Tell
helped me
them
a lot.
the question you asked them to see if they were narcs.
Oh, yeah. This is the question. That's right.
I thought it was,
that's
do you
right.
want to do any work?
The Q&A. How do you tell a narc? I says, so you guys smoke dope? Oh, yeah, we smoke a lot of dope. Oh, okay. You do acid? Oh, yeah, we do acid too, yeah. And acid. I said, what was your last trip like? And, I don't remember. You can forget who you're married to, but you will remember your last acid trip. Till you die. And I said, oh, they're fucking narcs, man.
Oh, you just said that Sergeant Stadenko was real?
It's a real
Yeah.
guy. Abe
Stacy Keach,
Stadenko.
Sergeant.
Abe Stadenko was his name.
Oh, you
He
kept the
was-
name even.
Yeah.
Of course. You didn't even
Fucking sue us.
I made
That's
him
Sergeant
famous.
Stodenko.
Did you ever hear back from him
Oh,
when the movies
yeah.
came out? Oh, what did he have
Yeah.
to say? Was
Hey.
he honored or was he?
Was he honored? Let me tell you what happened to Stadenko. He used to sit outside our after-hours club and try to bust us when we went outside to smoke a joint. And so we would sit inside, smoke a joint, and watch him, and so then he was a real pain in the ass, this guy. So when we did Stadenko, I said, I know who we're going to name the narc. So I named him Stadenko. In Vancouver, right away he's famous. As soon as the movie came out, they transferred him to Turkey.
All right, touche.
He spent his whole career in Turkey. And when he came back, the narcs called me. They said, hey, this is the Vancouver narcs. We're big Cheech and Chong fans, man. I love the movies. Hey, listen, Stadenko's retiring. Can you do me a favor? Can you send a poster, because it has his name on it, up and smoke poster down and sign it? I said, I'd be glad to.
Does he still know how to mop floors, man? We can put him to work.
Oh, Stadenko, man. They retired his ass because he came back 17 years and he was so far behind, and so they retired
He
his
couldn't
ass.
speak English anymore. It was like fucked up.
He hated us. He hated Cheech and Chong.
So that character was based on his real behavior. In a
Oh,
way.
yeah.
That, like,
He didn't turn into a lizard though.
Well,
Not-
no,
as far as we
not
know.
that we know
Okay,
of. Yeah.
okay.
So the second half of the question, I want to hear the same version. Like, when did you do you remember the moment you realized that Cheech was really fucking funny? Like when you were like, oh, he's not just a straight man. This guy's a wild sense of humor.
No, actually, no. There wasn't a time. No,
I'm still waiting.
no. The thing that kept Cheech and I together was that everybody else quit. And we still wanted to do it, Well, we got fired from my club.
Yeah.
Is what happened. Well, we had been there, 9 months?
Yeah, 9 months. I had to give birth to something, I was like, but I was like, I would follow him every, like, whenever the payday was, like Saturday night, I would follow him. I was like that close to him. So he'd go to the cashier's window. I was right behind him. Oh, yeah, here's your money. Because this job paid $5 more to hang out with naked chicks, do improv, and smoke dope than deliver carpets. So, I don't know. Let me see the chicks. Well, all right, maybe, So he knew that I was in it for the commerce and the things. So we had to keep it going.
We were going to actually not quit comedy, but we were going to start a band
A
together.
lounge act.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we do skits and we could, music.
Yeah, we
How Vegas?
Yeah, that was our goal.
I was known as a musician in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And I had a pretty hot band. We went to Motown and that. And so I had a reputation there. And so there was a battle of the bands going on. And so Cheech and I put a band together. And we were going to play music. I think we rehearsed a couple of tunes.
Yeah, we rehearsed twice.
Yeah. But we said, we're going to do comedy first because we knew a lot of skits that we could do in front.
Yeah.
And these are rock and roll kids.
It was a
And
battle
so,
of the bands, like in the Gardens Auditorium.
and so the kids, when we got on stage and started doing comedy, the kids all came and gathered around the side of the the foot of it, at our feet. And we didn't do what we did on stage now. You know, it was an improv kind of show.
Can't fucking remember a bit. I was like, we did something that they liked.
But we did it.
But you guys weren't doing the man and the
No, no,
Pedro.
No.
When
we
did
were
those,
doing-
out of all those characters that you had, when did you land on those two that?
Back in L.A., when we finally came back in L.A., so I had the problem was I had to get back to L.A., but I was wanted by the FBI. A little hurdle. I was
Because of the draft dodging.
Yeah, I was a draft.
And it wasn't that girl that you.
No,
it
it had
wasn't that.
very little to do with it.
Okay.
Something to do with it, but no.
It was draft dodging.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was in the draft resistance movement in college, and we.
Why does that get a laugh?
And you burned your draft card.
I burned my draft card, handed it in. It went on a tour with Joan Baez and David Harris. So so it was like I couldn't say that I didn't do it because it was on the cover of Time magazine, man. You could actually read my name, you know, like, well. And so the draft was after me. So I took off. It was totally illegal. Because Hershey, who was the director of the draft at the time, issued this directive that anybody who did all the activities that we did would be automatically reclassified. I was a student at the time. Reclassified, drafted, and sent to Vietnam, the front lines. That was his fix. And so, yeah, fuck you. So I took off for Canada. I was there for 3 years, and I eventually made my way up to Canada. But we had to go to L.A. or New York to make it. So I was from L.A. and it was warmer, you know. So but I had to sneak back in the U.S. It was a little looser then. I snuck back with a phony ID, my friend Bill Norris' ID, with a picture of him on it. Went to the guy, hey, I'm Bill Norris. Oh yeah, okay. He was kind of dark and I was dark and got right through.
Well, in those days, you know, it's not like now, you know.
Yeah. So how did the characters Pedro and the Man happen?
It took one night at the Irma Hotel.
Yeah. We were doing this bit, kind of the two guys driving in the car, and it wasn't exactly those two characters.
No, it wasn't even close.
It wasn't even close. But we were in this car, and so we were standing in front of the Irma Hotel. We were doing this gig, and these two lowriders pulled up, and they go, "Hey man, you know where Reseda Boulevard?" Yeah, man, you're on it. You know. Oh yeah, that's what I said. I told you we were.
So we at the Irma Hotel, it was a dance club, and they didn't want to see comedy. And so Cheech and I went out and we did our act, and then after the second show, we had 2 shows to do. And so the first show didn't go over that well, and we thought, oh shit. And so we got in the dressing room, we said, let's think of something that these people can relate to. And Cheech says, well, I know a character, you know.
Well, no, he said to me, he says, hey, do that guy, dude, this guy is a lowrider.
Yeah. Yeah, the driving guy.
The driving guy, the guys who drove by. Yeah, okay, try it, what the fuck. So
But first, you did that little bit where you polished the car.
Polished the car, yeah.
And that's an old vaudeville bit that I saw years ago on Vancouver. It was a black guy that would pantomime taking a girl out on a date.
Yeah.
And he pantomimed everything, getting the girl drunk and drinking.
Were you a fan of kind of classic vaudeville comedy? Because there's
totally.
something about like the duo, like
Totally.
you guys are sort of.
Totally.
I always thought it's like watching classic.
I grew up with
The
like
both of us,
Bowery
same
Boys
thing.
and all those
That's why
classical guys.
kind of our affinity, because we had the same background. You know, we related to the same comedy. If he'd made a reference, I understood it perfectly because I'd seen those guys, and you know, anybody who was on Ed Sullivan on Sunday night, I know those comedians we saw, and we had the same kind of, and we were musicians.
And we dug characters from people that we knew. Like the character that I do is based on a guy that used to do our lights at our improv
And his
club.
name was Strawberry.
Yeah. I met Strawberry lived in the light booth
Yeah.
because when I met him, he was homeless. And
was
I
in
said,
the
well, I
alley.
got a nightclub you can stay in.
Oh,
and
man.
Okay.
It was like, oh, really?
And Strawberry used to be our
Light man.
director.
Yeah.
He was a light boy, but if we fucked up, we get off stage and Strawberry go, oh man, that bit sucked, man. Oh, no one laughed.
And then sometimes we'd go over and he'd be watching the thing and it's supposed to be a blackout, you know, and we'd be sorry. Sorry. Oh, hey, man. Like,
Because when we did it, we part of the experience of our improv was acid.
Yeah.
We did acid almost every weekend,
Yeah.
and pot and hash every night. And so the whole show was very, very
And
acid.
this was not like a gentleman's club. It was a fucking hardcore, the worst part of town, strip bar. It was actually Vancouver, Main and Pender, like right down in Chinatown, and it was like, you know, guys who were getting shot.
The cops
and-
had to move. The cop had to move the police station. It was the neighborhood was too dangerous.
It's still the most dangerous neighborhood in Vancouver right now, man. And so these guys, the audience was like really fucking bikers and loggers and drunk hockey players and pimps. It was more a station for hookers to hang out, and that was their office. You know, they were making dates, and so that was the cardinal sin, is to mess with the hookers. And then Tommy's brother Stan, who was a fucking killer, would come.
Well,
and
to give you
visit
an
him.
idea of my brother, he played hockey, but he could have been a pro, but he played in a league where you were too insane to play with the pros. It was called the Industrial League. When a fight broke out, nobody stopped it.
Yeah.
It just went on till it quit. It was very tough, and he was our
He was
our
the bouncer. He came up to Tommy one time, and Stan, he's his older brother, a couple of years, and wore glasses. My finger hurts, my knuckle hurts. You know, yeah, well, okay. And next thing, my knuckle hurts. And Tommy said, well, go to the doctor and see what's wrong. Oh, all right. He goes to the doctor. There was a tooth in his knuckle. Oh yeah. Was it when the guy pulled the gun on him and pulled the trigger?
Yeah.
He takes the guy, and the guys would act wild in this club, and so Stan and the other guy would visit him, and we were upstairs on one flight, and if they were bad, they took them down the front stairs, but you hear them all the way down, because right next to the stage, the wall, boom, 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 ah, ooh, ee, ah. So they taking this one guy out, and he was really creepy. He said really creepy, and he was messing with the chicks. So they took him down, and he's real quiet, and he get to the bar, and he pulls out a gun. And he sticks it in Stan's neck and pulls the trigger. And at the same time, Stan reached out to get the gun, and the hammer went off right there. He took the gun out of the guy's hand, and just beat the holy shit out of him. Man. Hey. Oh, yeah.
The classic Wile E. Coyote look, you know.
So, did playing for an audience like that? What was that audience like to perform for? And
The
did that
best.
what?
The best.
Yeah,
They liked acid comedy.
They weren't.
Yeah.
There was no. The critics loved us.
Yeah. It was
The what do you call them? All the actor people, all the directors and shit.
Yeah,
They were all
coming
hanging out, you know, trying
Does
to
that
learn.
does that shape how you construct your jokes? Like,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you make it for this crazy fucking
had to be
biker
strong,
hooker
you know?
pimp.
It was like playing prison. We've played a lot of prisons in
Yeah.
our life. We played all the big ones here and there, and it was like playing prison. You had to be funny, and they would fucking ignore you, you know, or try to beat. Guys would jump on the stage and try to beat us up all the time. And you got hit in the head with an ashtray, big glass ashtray one time. Boing. Okay.
Why would they do that? Just because they didn't
were
like the
drunk.
joke?
They were drunk loggers.
Alcohol.
Alcohol and acid.
I had a great way of auditioning people. Like before Cheech came, I was looking for actors, and this guy, I'm an actor. I said, okay, here's the scene. Okay, you're a cop, and you're going to close down the club because the pasties are on illegally. And the actor goes, oh, I can do that. So he runs on stage and he goes, all right, this club's shut down. He holds up a badge. My brother walks up, grabs it. and they let him buy the light booth, and I said, you didn't get the job, man.
Well, how we got
all right.
discovered,
I was just- yeah.
It was still in the club, and so we moved to the back room at some point after we got fired from the front room. We moved to the back. We had another club. Tommy had another club there, and so and we put together this kind of new troupe, and so Tommy says it's going to be me and you, because we got, and so Three Dog Night was in town. The band, they were at the height of their popularity, and the drummer for Three Dog Night was Tommy's brother-in-law, Floyd Sneed.
My first wife.
First wife. And he comes, and so they're going to come by and see us after the gig. Oh, great, Three Dog Night's coming, man. It's going to be bitching, man. We're going to do the best show, and we're going to get discovered and go to Hollywood and be on the stage of the silent movie theater someday, you know. And, you know, so we got us, and again, it was upstairs, so, and we're all ready, and just before the guys came, Tommy's getting ready, and this drunk guy walks, he lumbers up the stairs, and Tommy's at the ticket thing, and he goes, "Hey, you got long hair," and he grabs his hair and starts a fight, and then boom, and he pulls out a big handful of hair, and they start fighting, and they're going all the way down the stairs, and blah, 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 and bloom, bloom, and Tommy gets him at the bottom, but he's got a handful of hair he pulled out of his head, and just in the limo for Three Dog Night pulls up. "Oh, hey, yeah, right this way. We're just doing the show. This is part of the show. Get the fucking guys out of here."
He was just leaving.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys come out to L.A.
Yeah.
And you guys end up playing in like rock clubs, like before.
Mostly black clubs. First.
Black blues clubs first.
Yeah.
Okay.
PJs and
So how does that end up playing? How
Maverick
do you
Flats. We played Maverick
Maverick
Flats.
Flats.
do you just sort of end up rising and rising?
No,
until you're playing? 'Cause
my band was a black band, and so I knew the circuit really well. I played the Chitlin circuit a few times, and I knew one thing about black clubs. They always hired comedians, and so that's we would go there and tell them, yeah, we're going to go on. They'd put us on and pay us.
And pay us.
Pay
That
us
was
money.
the big difference between them and white clubs.
Yeah,
White
white clubs was well, we'll put you on the list, and
we can do hootenanny night, you know. Can't eat no hootenanny, you know. and so, but there was a big chain, circuit of black clubs here in L.A. Maddie's Flats, the Parisian Room, the Total Experience.
and you had to. It
York
was
Club.
like our biker club. You had to be good. You couldn't
Yeah.
bullshit these guys, you know, because if you weren't funny, you weren't trying out material.
Yeah.
So where are you from? You didn't say that shit.
Yeah.
You know, you just got funny, right? Because at PJ, sometimes the pimps would come to see whoever we were playing, Cannonball Adderley or some jazz group, and they'd see us. We'd get introduced, and they'd turn their backs on us. You know, be talking to their main ladies. You know, and we'd be funny enough that the girls would say, "Turn around, shut up, man. I want to watch this."
We
And
we
we did
at
it.
the PJ's when it opened up as the Uptown Black Club. It's on Santa Monica and Crescent Heights, right there. I don't know, it's a shopping mall now, but it was PJ's, and it was the Uptown Black Club, and we opened for everybody, like Carmen McRae, Edwin Starr, Ray Charles, Marvin Gaye, Little Anthony, the Imperials, the Isley Brothers, the Whispers, like everybody that came out. We had the Impressions, you know.
And that's where we got a lot of material from.
Yeah,
too.
'cause we grew up in black neighborhoods. I mean, I grew up here in South Central LA, 36 and San Pedro.
That's why you can run so fast.
That's right. Yo, Mexican. I thought that meant start. You know, go. Yo, Mexican. And he grew up in the black section of Calgary, you know.
There is such a thing?
Amber Valley. Amber Valley. was all
No,
black.
there was a black section. It was one house.
Yeah.
and you lived in it.
No, I.
But
definitely-
Tommy was with Motown, and he wrote the big hit tune "Does Your Mama Know About Me," which became a standard. Hey,
Yeah, I was
So
black
you
for a
just
long
said
time.
that you got a lot of your material from that period.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
what do you mean? Like, give us examples.
Well, I learned how to do comedy from watching the great, the Red Fox, Richard Pryor, all those guys, and every jazz guy that we know could be a stand-up comedian. Every jazz guy.
There's always
Every jazz.
there's a real connection between musicians and comedy, which you see
Totally.
over and over
it's
again.
timing.
It's the same. It's the same. Yeah, it's an art. It's an art to being real and being good and
Were you
hitting
guys
all the right notes.
were you guys doing songs as part of the act then?
Always music. There was always music in the
Especially
act,
if they're drunk.
especially if they're drunk. On New Year's Eve, well, 2 minutes of comedy, and then
Yeah, we played a lot of music.
Is it a real Cheech thing to do the rewriting of lyrics to things like the
Oh, yeah,
Basketball
you did that
Jones
for
or the
much.
was they the we were just watching
My scrotum.
my
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 scrotum.
scrotum. The master. The master can take any song. Any song.
No,
And he would hum around. We'd be writing, and he'd be humming some song, and then it would end up in the movie.
that's how Basketball Jones came to be. There was a song called Love Jones.
Yeah.
And it was by this little teenage black group, and then the guy had a real falsetto.
But let me tell you how it happened. Because Cheech would sing Basketball Jones.
No, Love Jones. And then
No, Love Jones. But what happened? We were going to the Laker game, and we're riding with Jack Nicholson. Jack Nichols? What do you say, Nicholson?
Nicholson. Yeah.
Nicholson. I got a thing about Jack Nicholson. Anyway, he's driving his Mercedes, and he's driving down the wrong fucking lane, oncoming traffic, 70 miles an hour, because there's a lineup to get in the parking lot. And he's driving, and
Up on the sidewalk and shit.
and Cheech is in the back going, Basketball Jones. I got Basketball Jones. I got Basketball Jones. The next day we recorded it, man. It was so perfect. It was so perfect. And we got George Harrison, who was in the studio at the same time that we were recording it. We said, George, come on and do some guitar work on this. And so George came in, sat down, and they asked George, do you think Cheech and Chong are funny? He says, I suppose so.
Well, Tommy had blocked out the chords on the piano. He knew it was the 3 chords he knew, or something, and he plung, dung, dung like that. And George says, "Oh, this is good. We'll have to nick those chords, And he played on that. And then Carole King came in because she was on the same label, and she was in the next door, and she plays.
Really? Somebody turn the cell phone off. Okay.
There you go. Thank you. Still not. and
It's
so,
usually mine.
So Tommy played her the thing, and she goes, "Those aren't the chords to Love Jones, man." So listen,
But wasn't that genius?
Yeah.
Because then it became Basketball Jones became
the bigger
original.
hit. Yeah.
Original. I wrote the music.
And then it showed up in the movie Being There.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
The
you're-
cartoon.
Well, Peter Sellers was a friend.
Yeah, I heard
Oh,
that.
dear friend.
Yeah.
And a stoner. Oh, my God. Peter Sellers was actually inadvertently responsible for getting Cheech and Chong together.
Yeah.
Because what happened,
I didn't hear because it was.
Peter Sellers was responsible for getting Cheech and Chong together. And I'll tell you why. It's a roundabout thing. I was in Detroit. I just got fired from Motown. I'm sitting there with my girlfriend. Not my wife, my girlfriend. We're watching the movies, and Peter Sellers comes on. He's in a movie called I Love You, Alice B. Toklas. Yes. We looked at that movie, and we thought, what the fuck are we doing in Detroit? So I found a car. There's a service that you drive someone else's car across the country. And so I drove across the country with my girlfriend and new baby. And we landed in Venice Beach, and we found a little place. And then I had to get work, so I had to go up to Vancouver. I started working in the nightclub, met Cheech.
And that's when he met me.
And then when Peter Sellers got his first Cheech and Chong record, he loved us so much that he arranged for a tour of England.
England, yeah.
Wow.
England.
Met
And
us at the airport with all the paparazzi.
yeah, he met it. Hey, tell him how he met us. Remember how he met us? He was parked. He said, you don't have to go through immigration. Come on, follow me. We went out. There was a courtyard. There was a limousine parked there. And as we approached the limousine, a big block of hash came out with the end burning.
It's like he's trying to catch
On
a
the
shark
other
with
end was
blood.
Peter Sellers.
He came to all our gigs in England. It was
And he'd
great.
get so drunk, remember? He'd be passed out on the table. And as soon as we do a bit he'd sit up.
But he would drive us all around London. He had a little Mini Cooper in the olden days, and him and his buddy, they had memorized the whole album, and they would do the whole album in front of. We were sitting in our backseat going, "The fuck is Peter Sellers? Got any more of that hash, man?" I mean, like,
How was his Cheech?
it was like
How was his
surreal.
Pedro?
It was like, huh?
I said, how
It
was
was
his
not
Pedro?
bad, man. It was not
Well,
bad.
Peter Sellers, man.
Peter
He
Sellers,
could do any
he could do
accent.
anything.
Great guy.
And we were just fresh off the streets. I mean, we had nothing. When we were in L.A. scuffling, they're like, okay, our goal was we had to make $1.50 per day. We had to somehow get our hands on $1.50. And we'd walk around looking for gigs at these black clubs, and we had this little wagon. And
We
pulled up
actually-
and pick pop bottles out.
We would actually ride the back of my scooter. I had
Yeah.
a scooter,
A Honda 60, 90.
a Honda 90.
90.
Because I realized that I bought it as soon as I could. So, Barry Gordy gave me a nice severance pay, so I bought a scooter with it.
Were the two of you riding on the scooter
No,
together?
the two of us, and we'd put on all the costumes that we'd have. Cheech would be on the bag with all the costumes and the hats. And
10 coats, 5
That
hats.
is too
shoes around our
adorable.
neck, going to the gig.
The next big phase, and this is a large part about the movie we're going to watch later, is you guys began recording records.
Yeah.
How did the comedy change for records, or what was it like getting in the studio?
Well, we were really at the point of we had to do something.
Yeah.
And we ended up working. We were like the regular comics at the Troubadour. And Lou Adler started coming down, catching our act. And then when we did a showcase actually it was for Warner Brothers with Ted Templeman. And we did a showcase, and Lou was in the crowd, and we heard that Lou laughed. And so Cheech knew who Lou Adler was. I didn't know who he was.
He's the biggest record producer in the world, Tommy. That's Lou Adler.
Yeah. And so Lou said, come on down, we'll have a meeting. And we walked into the meeting, and this is a true story. We hadn't talked, well, we barely talk anyway. You know? But we hadn't discussed what we're going to tell Lou or ask Lou or nothing. We just show up. We're improv actors. You know, whatever happened, happened. And so Lou said, what can we do for you? And we both looked at each other for a minute. And we looked at the records.
Gold records
we
everywhere.
want to make a record. And that was the first time we even talked about it.
So what kind of records? It's a gold, apparently. Man.
Yeah.
Gold records, yeah.
And you did.
And so the deal was, it was a funny deal because I blurted out, he says, so what do you need? I said, $1,000 and a little tape recorder. And she says, hey, hold on a minute there, man. $2,000.
There's two of us, so we need $2,000.
But one tape recorder.
So the gig was to try to kind of convert what we were doing on stage in records, for records. And so a lot of it was visual, so we had to kind of start thinking of what the equivalent was. And so all the comedians in our age, in our era, their record albums consisted of their live act recorded. Richard Pryor, Lily Tomlin, George Carlin, all those guys, it was their live act recorded. We went in the studio, started trying to convert these bits, and then we started evolving this system based upon a lot of our influences. Mine, Ken Nordine was a big influence, and how to create that oral atmosphere with backgrounds and atmosphere and stuff. And
Did you know the Firesign Theater? Did you guys listen to that?
very
they
good.
were out
Yeah.
at the same time, and they had their own kind of more intellectual thing.
And
We
I
were
listened to the news program.
But it was all these people they're very cinematic. They're like little scenes,
Yeah.
you know.
So
And committee.
radio
committee
theater.
in Second
Came out
City.
radio theater from the 30s and 40s and 50s, and that's what we were influenced by. So we started kind of how we convert what we have into this, and then other things started popping up. Like Dave was the very first thing we ever recorded, and it was an accident.
What do you mean? How was it an accident?
Well, we were rehearsing at the stage on the lot in A&M Records, the Charlie Chaplin Studios on La Brea, and so we were working on this bit, and it was hot. It was like August, and it was like 105 or something like that. And we were in this air-conditioned screening room, and we were working on this thing, and we had this little tape recorder, our little tape recorder that we asked for, and Tommy and I so we were going to start this one bit, and so Tommy says, "Hey, why don't you go outside and knock on the door and record, and put on the hat and coat and get into character." So yeah, okay, great. And so it's really hot. I'm wearing this overcoat and a hat and stuff like that, and I get outside in the door and knock, 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 nothing, knock, knock, knock.
And I go, who is it?
He was supposed to say, "Come in," and then we're supposed to do this other bit, but he was
And I
messing
said,
with.
who is it? And Cheech knocked again. Who is it? And then I looked at the tape recorder to see if it was on, and I couldn't tell because there's no noise. And then when he knocked, I saw the tape recorder's on. And so I said, who is it? He goes, it's me, man. I could hear in his voice, he's pissed off. And so I just waited. I said, Then he waited. Then he knocked again. It was perfect waiting time. And I said, "Who is it?" "It's me, Dave, man."
I made up the name right on the
Why
spot.
did you say?
Yeah, well, Dave was the name of my first partner.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, well, I was just like, why would you say
was Dave.
Dave?
It
It
was
just
just
popped
Dave.
into my mind. That's
But you didn't know you were being recorded. Is this just how you guys talk to each other all the time?
Yeah.
Just making shit up?
It was improv.
it was
Pure
improv.
improv.
We were improv in the center. We were
I
used
said,
to it.
But you didn't know it was being recorded.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know.
"You didn't know?"
So
No, I
you're
didn't
just
know.
like
Where
you
do you
just
think we
can't.
had the little tape recorder?
Oh yeah. Well, I was supposed to get into the room, and then we were supposed to start the bit. I didn't know this shit was being recorded.
So you're just like nonstop improv, even
And
like just like,
so you know, true to Tommy, he's starting to fuck with me, right? You know, like, who is it? Dave. Who?
No. Then I said, "Dave's not here." That's what made the bit work. Then he went nuts. He goes, "I'm Dave, man." And open the door.
And this is,
It's fucking hot out here. That's what.
and so we go on with the bit, and so finally he comes and he opens the goddamn door, man. And he is laughing his ass off. I said, "What the fuck you doing, man? It's fucking hot." And we're in the middle of the A&M lot, and people are going, "What the fuck are these guys?" Because they've been wondering who we are, because we're showing up there every day. Who are these guys? And you know, and they said, so he lets me. He's laughing. He says, "You got to hear this. You got to hear this." And so he played it back, and we just fucking fell on the floor laughing.
We laughed a good hour.
We kept playing it over and over,
Over
again.
and over again.
And every time we played it, it got funnier and funnier. Like, oh. And so we said, "We got to take this to Lou," and he's upstairs. Lou Adler.
We played it to everybody.
Took it to Lou, and he laughed his ass off. So that night, we had to go into the studio to re-record it because it was like in a little, and it was nowhere near what the first one was.
But it was
But
one.
it was
But
the
it's out there now.
classic, you know.
you still have the original?
Do you? No.
I mean, I probably do. I'm like a hoarder, so
Yeah.
it's probably somewhere. Huh? Somebody will find it.
I got to ask a sort of almost silly question, but I feel like it's actually got maybe to me an interesting answer in there somewhere. Why is weed funny?
Because it makes you laugh at shit that you should normally wouldn't laugh at.
But I mean, why is it funny to laugh at weed?
Because
It's a
it
shared
fucks with your
experience.
with your sense of timing. That's what weed does. It puts you in this other frame of time. You know, this other rhythm, and like you see things from a different perspective, and like, fuck, that's funny, man. Where you would hurry by things every day, but like
You wouldn't notice it because you're preoccupied. Weed, I think what it is, weed puts you in the moment. So much so that that moment seems to be fucking forever.
And it wasn't in the early days. It was like because it was a secret. You know, you didn't go around telling everybody you smoked weed. You know, because of the cops. And so it was like this little underground language, and it was always, "Are you straight?" And that means you smoked weed. Are you straight? Yeah, I'm straight. There you go. You know, peace sign. Oh, okay. But it was an underground thing, so anytime you kind of referenced it in everyday life, that's what made it funny. Oh, I get it. Yeah, I get it. And you know, want something to drink? Yeah, I'm good.
And it's sort of harmless, even though it's bad. It kind of being both simultaneously.
Well,
It's only bad if you're hypnotized. That other shit. You know,
well,
that you're
it proved. Wow, what else have they been lying about? You know, weed is bad for you. They're gonna smoke. You're gonna do heroin the next day, and like, smoke weed the next day, man.
I love what you said about it slowing things down, because we were just watching some of this, and some of my favorite bits are just the ones that are so long and weird, like the Chinese restaurant or
the welfare office with
Michael Winslow.
Winslow.
Yeah.
And
You're just
see,
living in
you're
that.
just in that moment.
That was the rhythm of the movie in the 70s, and all the classic movies came out of it because they didn't digitize it and cram it down your throat at warp speed, which the movies are now. It's like cut, sound effects. Isn't that a great experience? They let the scenes play out in real time. All The Godfather, Rosemary's Baby, Chinatown, all those movies played out in real time, and they were long, and you let the scenes happen, and you got into them, and it was that rhythm, you know. You play movies for young kids now, and Close Encounters of the Third Time. How slow can you get, you know?
Yeah, and you worked with a lot of Altman's crew. I
Yeah.
remember. It was really interesting.
I was a big Altman fan.
Yeah, we both, and Altman the same way.
Yeah.
You know, all the MASH and all those.
Well,
movies
he let things develop. You know?
yeah.
It's like cooking a good meal. You know, you
Well,
don't hurry it. You just let it develop.
I've been given the warning, so I want to ask maybe one last question for you guys, just to send us out. What is maybe each of you guys one of your favorite Cheech and Chong bits and why?
On movies?
Out of
Anything.
sketches, movies, songs.
I like Harry and Margaret at the porno movie. I would look. We performed that a lot on stage, and I used to look forward to that every night. and it was, for me, it was a dumb bit. I mean, it was. I was silent. I never said a word in it because I was this woman who was watching this porno movie. And he was a husband Shriner, and every night he used to crack me up, and I couldn't wait to get to it because it was so fucking raunchy, and it was so raunchy that it was like I heard people cry in that audience. No, I can't live anymore. And I just love that bit.
And Tommy?
I don't know.
Come on, do one. You do that bit you do. Come on.
I don't know. There's so many Cheech bits that I can't even count them.
Well, why don't you guys give these guys a big round of applause? Cheech and Chong. We're so.
Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the movie. Comes out at 4:20. 4:20. Cheech and Chong. 10-minute break in the patio, and then we're going to come watch this thing. Thanks for coming out.